Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 10-2-6 Life Nourishing Plan. We'll get started in just a few moments here. It is now 9:40 Eastern Standard Time. About 10 minutes ago, you should have begun your bringing it down towards 10 p.m., bringing life down before 10 p.m. So we'll get into some of the strategies around the 10-2-6 Life Nourishing Plan, and I'll walk you through. These are just ideas for how you might be able to eliminate the chaos in your life. Okie doke. So if you hear me clicking back and forth, it's because I'm going through my notes, and I've never really written this out. It actually comes from this fantastic book that I had over 35 years ago called My First 100 Babies. And it was really a book to help you with newborns and yourself and your family becoming adjusted to the chaos of, bringing a new life into the world. And so what I've noticed over my years is that chaos creeps in different sorts of ways. It's not just babies. It can be new relationships. It can be new jobs. It can be new stressors, anxieties that maybe you weren't planning on in your life. And often I'll go back to this theory of 10-2-6, which is a nourishing, sleeping, restful, kind of controlled and disciplined approach to life. And it does not have to be your whole life. It can be just long enough. And so what we're going to try and do is maybe narrow this down to only 3 days. And in 3 days, if you follow and learn how to navigate the chaos and how to come to grips with having to have a little bit of discipline in your life, and then use a timed plan. The nature does this. It does it really beautifully. In fact, if you've ever stayed up for 24 hours just in nature, you know that nature has this lovely way of anticipating rest, anticipating nourishment, when they need to feed, when they need to nest, make babies, fly, move nests. They have this very interesting way, nature does, of managing the chaos. And as you can imagine, how chaotic can Mother Nature be? And somehow Mother Nature has been able to beautifully navigate this. So the 10-2-6 plan. Let me go back to my notes because now it is 9:43 p.m. At 9:30, this is when I kind of need to get my notes here. At 9:30, let's see what my recommendations were. Okay, so that you know, the bottom line of this is that you must put yourself on a schedule. And so we use the 10-2-6 because it's been written about, and that a lot of people have followed it and raised their children and developed their life plan over having a schedule such as this. And well, let's just get right into it. So right now we're leading into the 10 p.m. hour, right? 10 p.m. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a good 30 minutes. That's between 9:30 and 10, where there's no tech. Now, I understand that you're listening to YouTube. That means that you have your computer on and this sort of thing. But it would be that you seriously have no tech. You're not touching anything metal. You're not involved in keyboard activity. You're not sorting and plotting and going through your phone and thumb crawling around or anything. And if you could think of it this way, is that you are not touching anything that has to do with technology. So if you can think of it this way, that you're just not going to put anything in your hand, you're not going to have any metal around you whatsoever, and you're going to leave tech alone from 9:30 until 10. You'll understand that this half an hour increment where you literally are leaving yourself away from the internet. There's a lot of talk about that, well, you could close your eyes, listen to soft music, but the hardest thing, because all of those kinds of things are just fillers, the hardest thing is to be able to walk away and peacefully walk away from that which probably adds the chaos. And they're saying that really technology, it gives us so much, but there's a lot of anxiety and stress over being involved in technology. So we're just going to slow it down, okay? So there's not to be any technology from 9:30 until 10. This is all about getting you ready for rest, okay? Getting you ready for rest. And I think that what I'll do is I'll just go through what those paces are, right? It's 9:46 right now, and you're like, oh my God, I've only been off the internet for 2 minutes. But what if something is happening and I have to check on something? I can tell you, you are not missing out on anything. If anything, life is waiting for you to be more of a full person, more able and willing, if you will schedule your life out. If you do not do this and do it quickly and often, meaning that where you're really challenging yourself to have more control and discipline over your life, your time, your life, your time, then all these things will take it from you. That is more of a guarantee that I can give you than anything. That part of our lives is so willing to take it from us. It is crazy. So what we're going to try and do in the 10-2-6 plan is give that back to you. Give it back to you, okay? So we're just going to bring it down. There's a few things that you can do in this time when you're kind of letting technology go. You can, the thing in which has maybe caused the most amount of chaos, it could be the way that you keep your kitchen. It could be something. I want you to just take very small steps. It's almost like a very slow rotation. I don't want you to lift anything heavy. I don't want you to do anything that's heavy on your mind whatsoever. So something that you could do is just start to straighten something, a bookshelf, something very simple, some straightening, some organization. Open up a cutlery drawer and start to just very simply organize. Organize things, put things in place, tidy things up. But once again, no chaos around it whatsoever. These are very simple steps of, it's kind of like arranging rocks, if you've ever kind of seen that sort of thing done. Arranging, you could go into your pantry and just arrange cans, where all the labels go into your refrigerator and arrange the refrigerator. But there's no heavy lifting. It should all be very peaceful, where you're just kind of organizing things to reduce the chaos over time. So this is one thing that you can do. It doesn't involve any kind of technology whatsoever. And you just decide on one thing, sit pleasantly there with that one thing. A bookshelf is a good approach. And it's just one thing at a time. Lift the book open, lift it out, make sure the jacket is on right, put it back in place. Take the next item, make sure that it's all tidy, flip through the pages, make sure, and then put it back in place. That whole thing of taking care of something and putting it back in place. Gently taking care of something and putting it back in place. And now it's 9:50. It's 9:50. So we should have gone through 20 minutes of this sort of very methodical, simple, soothing gestures so that you know that you can leave the tech. You can do it. Remember, we're asking for 30 minutes. That's it. 30 minutes for right now for you to leave tech. Okay. All right. So we're just going to let the time go by. Not a big deal. We're just here. Right. It's okay. So let me make sure that I can get to my own notes here. So you probably got, yeah, okay. So we have 9 more minutes, and it will, in the beginning, it will seem like a lifetime. Oh my God, I'm going to be off tech for 30 minutes, but what do? Well, we're going to find those things that you can do. I'm an endless resource on how chaos can be taken out of your life with these very simple, they're kind of like rotating gestures. It may be the same thing. Remember, we're only going to do this for 3 days, so it might be just it's the same gesture every night between 9:30 and 10. Could be the same gesture. I'm not really too sure, but it's as long as you understand that it's to serve a purpose to reduce chaos. And we have 8 more minutes to go. So let me know what you might be doing. For those that find this interesting on the replay, what have you done in those 30 minutes to reduce chaos? You are not part of tech. Okay, tech is continuing on without you. This is something else that is really kind of mind-blowing, is that I do think that we often feel as though we are very much a part of it. And how can it survive and be and do without us? But I'm telling you, it can and it will and it does. So these 30 minutes that you're giving, you're really giving your life back to yourself. Okay? You're giving your life back to yourself. So let me know what you have found, in your surroundings, that you're like, that I can see. There's chaos there, and I'm going to go ahead and deal with it in these very small gestures of removing chaos from your life. So we're leaving tech behind, and we're removing chaos in our life. These are all good things, okay? So from 9:30 to 10 p.m., there's to be no tech. Uppercase, no tech. And in 7 minutes, you're going to be very thrilled to know what's going to happen in 7 minutes, but we will let 7 minutes go. Alrighty, let me see where are we. So thank you very much. You're listening to the 10-2-6 plan. I think this will be good for a lot of you guys. All right, 7 minutes left. There's no peaceful music or anything like that. That's completely up to you. I'm not going to bog it down. We have 6 minutes left. So because of what's going to happen at 10, something that you could think about is that because at 10 o'clock, there might be some other things that you need to have organized in your life. It's still going to be very small gestures, but they do involve things that once we get there, you'll know, oh, okay, I can see why it would be valuable for me to have that part of my life made less chaotic so that I can go into the 10 o'clock phase of the 10-2-6, 10-2-6. 10-2-6, 10-2-6. That's really all that you have to remember. And it can be a 10-2-6 that's modified somehow to your life, but you'll see the course of action once we get to 10 o'clock. But I did want you to see that, it's a matter of providing yourself with some sort of authority over your life, schedule, discipline. In a way, it's kind of a chance, a chance for you to give back to your life, give life back to you, because all of us are tempted to give our peace of mind away, and we don't want to do that for our whole life. Okie dokes. All right, so I probably set the tone pretty much, right? Okay, so this is where there might have to be some note-taking in the comments, and I'll make sure that that gets done. So you want to check the comments down below. But I'll go through this as rapidly as I can now. At 10 o'clock, you are going to do some nighttime or rest routine. You are going to do some nighttime or rest routine. It can be cleansing, okay? So, a lot of people, they might go ahead and shower or brush their hair or do a mask or, take care of their hands, some sort of cleansing, almost like a ritual. And it can be just something as simple as just washing your hands and washing your face really well, brushing your hair really well. Just take time and cleanse. It can also be meditating, but everything that you do will be in small gestures. So if you were to do, like a cleansing routine, let's say, this is not going to be, where you're scrubbing hard and you're involved in some sort of, multi product thing. This is all to be very small gestures, very small, very somber, gentle gestures over the next 15 minutes, okay? And so there's this, I'm reading in the notes too, it could be where you're reading a book or something like that, but very small gestures. You're not taking in, I know this will sound funny, but you're not taking in big words. It could be a book maybe that you've already read in your prior life, it could be a book that you had read when you were in the 7th grade or something that you well know. It's small gestures. It's not taxing on your brain. It's not to, get you overthinking or anything like that. So if you can think of this, that from 10 o'clock until 10:15, these are going to be very small gestures. Very small gestures. So you've reduced the chaos, and you've done that well for yourself. There's no tech. You're still in the no tech mode. And now you're doing small gestures to, in a way, it's to kind of, it's not a full feeling, but it's a restful place, but where you're actually acknowledging, that this is for you. It's not just to manage your life. It's actually for you physically. At 10:15, and I could do a whole segment on what makes a great bed and all of that, but you are going to go to bed, okay? At 10:15, you are going to bed. You are not, listen to me, the 10-2-6 plan, you have to really think of yourself as an infant. You are not going to get out of that bed until 2 a.m. So anything that you needed to do before 10:15, anything at all that you can imagine, oh, should I need to do this or that and the other, you have to either let it go and don't do it, or you have to wait until after 2 o'clock in the morning. So you are going to be going back to bed, in bed, from 10:15 until 2 a.m. And I said this again in my notes, and it is a yes, even if you can't sleep. And there's a technique that I've found that actually uses that works really well is that if you open up your hands, like literally spread your arms out and spread out your fingers and let spread out hands just kind of rest on your bedding, just like that. Really like almost if you've ever watched like an animal stretch and how they'll move their paws out and they'll stretch out their claws and such like that. That's what I want you to do, and then you just let your hands drop. With your feet, you're going to rotate your ankles. These are very small gestures, Rotate your ankles, point your toes, stretch your toes, and drop and rest. And just continue to do that. These are not, over the top, meditation skills or anything like that. As long as your head is comfortable and you understand that there's a reason you're letting all of the day go out through your hands and through your feet. Through your hands and through your feet. Okay? There's stuff that we can talk about another time about whether or not you have the best sleeping situation. There's some things that you can do, like there's no mirror at your feet and all sorts of things like that, simple kinds of things, so that you sleep well. So you are not going to get out of the bed, okay, until 2. At 2 o'clock, you are going to wake, but you are not going to rise. And you can do a reverse. And stretching out the arms, stretching out your hands, stretching your legs out, rotating your ankles, opening up your toes, and rest. And for 15 minutes, you are going to be thoughtful, almost prayerful, but you are not going to rise. You are going to be thoughtful and prayerful, but you are not going to rise. Because when you rise, you want this to be in a very peaceful, important time of your day, okay? Peaceful and important time of your day. Now, because we're trying to do this 3-day, it's going to be at 2 o'clock in the morning when, nature isn't on your schedule yet because you're so out of whack. But this is going to help you kind of work through on what you could do is if you did find yourself awake ever again at 2 o'clock, some of the things that you can do to bring yourself down and make sure that you're entering your day peacefully, thoughtfully, rested, okay? But do not rise. There's a great lady on the internet that talks about, and there are other people too, in fact there's a couple of Bitcoiners that use this technique. Before you do anything, you are going to have 8 to 12 ounces of tepid clean water, and you cannot skip this. This is before you do anything, any exercise, washing your face, brushing your teeth, taking care of personal hygiene, nothing. Drink 8 to 12 ounces of tepid clean water, and do not skip this. If you were to forego everything else and only continue on that, which is when you rise from anything, whether it's a nap or your evening sleep, do not skip that one step. I have heard it is life-changing. It will begin to change lots of different things in your body. So it's not talking about vitamins or taking melatonin or any, or anything like that. But the water, the 8 to 12 ounces of tepid clean water on an empty tummy and without any other distractions in your life. So now it's about 2:30, 2:20, 2:30, something around there. I'm reminding you, there are no birds and there's little life, but you can still begin to plan your next day, right? Because this is a plan. It's the 10-2-6, 10-2-6 plan. Now you are up at 2:30 in the morning, but if you've lived through the 10 to 2, don't despair, because if you lived through 10 to 2 and you rested, you will have had a good 4 hours of rest. I don't know if it means that you've slept but you will have a good 4 hours, imagine that, of peace, no anxiety, and no tech. You understand? Peace, no anxiety, and no tech. And of course, you're feeling anxious, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, I need that. What's going to happen at 6 o'clock? I need to know. And of course, at this time, you're probably going to be a little hungry. It's middle of the night. But if you've had your water, you should have very little to eat, nothing heavy. And I just suggested, we're talking about something almost very kind of Zen-like, an egg, a small piece of fruit, piece of toast, something very simple. And this is when you're going to start bringing simplicity. Simplicity. You can have a complex life, but if there's simplicity at least a few times during your day, that you can rely on, that's where I get my simplicity from. My simplicity is in my food. My simplicity is in that I have no chaos in one area of my life. And that, that you can always kind of gaze on that and go, okay, that's where I get my simplicity from. In these hours, okay, this is the 2 to 6. In these hours, you are going to write. Now, I said write because I believe that most of us need to be writing. We really do. There's so many things that are moving so quickly that your life will literally go away from you. And if you don't write, whether it's a journal or an article, or even if it's just your ramblings, words, definitions of words, and any sort of thing, but really write and give yourself no more than 1 hour on the internet. So between 2 and 6, yes, you can get back on the internet, check in, see what's going on. And once again, we're going to make sure that this is not willy-nilly. Have your tabs set up, have a little bit of organization, that you check this and this and that and the other, and really start looking at the internet more, of that you're in control of it and it's not in control of you. You're in control of it. So we're going to make sure that you can do some stretches, low tack exercise, keep everything mindful and peaceful. I guess you probably get the idea. There's no agitation, there's no anxiety. And now it's approaching 6 a.m. So don't forget, you've had 4 hours of sleep. You had written something. Look at all the cool things that you've done already. You've written, you've stretched, you've maybe done some light picking up of your life. So you're feeling this is just the first few hours. Now everything has changed. Everything has. And at 6 a.m. you can check out what time it is in the rest of the world. That's always fascinating to do. What time is it in Hong Kong? What time is it in London? Because most of us are leading global lives. To know, who's up and who's doing what. Because New York at 6 o'clock is now getting up, and you're probably feeling hungry, and you should hydrate for sure and have something more nourishing. And you can schedule another hour on the internet. Once again, another hour on the internet. But about 7 a.m., at about 7, you are going to go into your rest cycle again. Rest cycle again. You're going to bring it all back down. You're going to do something that's mindful, methodical, has a melody to it now maybe. Okay? And you are going to rest best you can from 7 until 10. From 7 until 10. Now you will be ready like the rest of the world to do what your life is presented, because at 10 o'clock, you will have gone through the 10-2-6, 10-2-6 plan. You can have some iteration of this. Do this for about 3 days. And come back and let me know. Do you sense that your life has more control? It's less contrived and controlled by others. And that it's more disciplined, and you are ready for your life. For your life. Not someone else's, not a piece of equipment, not wires and bits flying through space. None of that. You actually have your life back, and you have a plan on how you can get your life back. I hope that this has helped. This has been the 10-2-6, 10-2-6 Life Nourishing Plan. Make sure that you leave a comment below, and I will make certain that I put my notes down below as well. Bye-bye.